Welcome back to a midnight episode. I am Keeler Bryson, your host and founder of Teachable Life Moments. Well, tonight I want to talk, or today, it is actually a new day. How about that? Something special about the midnight hour. Today I want to talk about paying attention to the signs. So, when you think about life in general, there are so many signs that we encounter as we go about our daily routines, signs to help get us where we need to go, signs that help us to not get lost, signs that let us know when we are in danger. There are signs that try to encourage us to buy items or what have you. Most people are pretty good at paying attention to the signs, whether it's a stop sign, a billboard sign, or it's a for sale sign. We pretty much notice the signs, we pay attention to them, we read the signs, and then some of those signs, they inspire us to act in some way. But what about the signs that are not so obvious? What about the signs that are not, as noticeable as other signs are? And sometimes we're so busy going about our daily routine until we do not see what God is saying to us because we're in such a hurry trying to get from point A to point B and so on and so forth. But what about the signs that are speaking to us that we really do not see? We do not see it, we do not hear it, and it does not register to us. And yesterday was Mother's Day, and I was out on my deck, hanging out on the hammock for about 5 hours, and it was one of the most rejuvenating experiences. Nobody bothered me, and a couple of times I nodded off, and I'm one that usually is concerned about falling asleep outside, but it was so relaxing out there until I nodded off a couple of times, and then I would wake up. I had some nice calming music playing, or music that was very inspirational, or music that made me think. And while I was out there, it's like it was so much clarity that came. A lot of ideas and strategies for things that are coming up or things that are going on. And it dawned on me how a lot of times we miss the subtle signs of what God is saying to us because we're so plugged into moving quickly through life. And while I was out on the deck, I noticed that way up high in the sky, there were birds up in the sky, and they were just soaring, and they was like, from the distance that I was looking up at them, it looked like they were just moving in slow motion, just flying and flying. It just looked like they were enjoying flying in the sky. And I was wondering, why in the world would a bird want to continue to just fly and fly and soaring in a circle or what have you? And it was big birds, and then there were like smaller sized birds. I was just amazed at how even a smaller sized bird could elevate that high up in the sky. And I heard the birds chirping. I felt the breeze blowing. I felt the breeze making the leaves in the tree move and make a rustling sound. I saw airplanes going back and forth way up in the sky. I saw beautiful clouds. I saw stormy looking clouds move in, and then I saw them move out, and then I saw another group of beautiful white puffy clouds move in. And it was just a whole lot going on. All while I'm laying on my hammock, just looking up, looking at it all. And the thing that stood out to me most was how God has all of this in control. Everything in nature is doing what it's supposed to do. Everything in nature is doing what it was designed to do. Everything in nature is being sustained with sunlight, with water, and with whatever else is needed for it to exist. And, every day we get up and we enter into the routines that sustain the lives that we have created. And we go out, and a lot of times we miss the subliminal messages that go on in the backdrop of our lives. We miss them because we're so busy trying to meet deadlines, get to appointments, get to obligations. Rigorously, we're trying to get to these places. And we're doing all of that, and sometimes we come back home, we're worried, we're stressed, we're frustrated, we feel helpless, hopeless, and whatever else. And then at the end you wonder why. Why should we feel that way when nature itself is prophesying to us every day that God has it under control? That the earth is already moving in a rhythm, in a flow, and almost at moments it seems like it's moving in a slow motion. But we're moving so fast we don't even realize that life is actually moving in a rhythm. And if we just let that rhythm flow and let it take us where we need to go, we will be less exhausted, we will be less stressed, less frustrated, less depressed, because just like the birds, the wind, the clouds, the sun, all of that was doing its thing. Nobody was making it happen, forcing it to happen. No one was worried about it not happening. And it was just one of the most mind-boggling yet relaxing and rejuvenating things to behold and to understand about the earth. And so when I look at us as humans and as individuals, one of the things that we don't get enough of, and that's the outdoors. The outdoors is good for us. It's good to just go out and just behold the beauty of nature and the message and the reminder that it is speaking to us if we will pay attention to the signs. I saw the birds soaring up high. I saw them up so high that there wasn't a whole lot of interference way up high in the sky, which was indicative to me that as we elevate higher, there's less distractions. As we elevate higher, there's a certain level of noise that we no longer can hear. And we've got to remember to get alone with ourselves to elevate our spirits so that we don't hear that noise at the lower level, because a whole lot of things are at the lower level. There were dogs at the lower level. In fact, my neighbor next door had a dog in the backyard, and every now and then the dog would bark. There are vehicles at the lower level, people at the lower level, but way up high in the sky in the higher level, there was nothing there. I mean, they were so high up, even the trees was not able to get up that high. And so sometimes we've got to get out in nature. I saw the bird up there flying and soaring. I don't know, it looked like it could have been a hawk or something. Just soaring. It looked like he was in so much freedom. And sometimes we've got to do that, go and get alone and let our spirits soar high. Because that's where the freedom is. That's where the peace is. That's where the calm is. That's where we slow down and just enjoy the existence of who we are. And then the other thing that I saw airplanes. I didn't see as many as I normally see when I'm out on the deck, and I know that's because of the pandemic and things have kind of slowed down. But I saw a lot of airplanes. Well, not a lot, but I saw about 4 that came through there, and they were moving so fast. And as they were moving fast, it was leaving a trail of white smoke that looked like white cloud that was blowing out of the back of the airplanes. And they were moving quickly. And I was telling my husband about it, and he was like, well, when an airplane is trying to elevate to a higher level, it has to have a lot more gusto, so to speak, to get the airplane to that altitude. And then I saw another airplane that came through. It didn't have any tail smoke or coming out of it. And I don't know if it was because it was a bigger airplane or it had already reached the altitude and it was just kind of cruising. Okay, the sign that I saw in those 2 different airplane scenarios was, first of all, it takes a lot to get where we want to go. But at some point we do reach the altitude where we're not having to kick and scream about it. We finally reach that place where it's going to be cruise control, so to speak, where we're just cruising through this life, cruising through this situation. And it's our choice of how we want to cruise through life. Do we want to just always be exhausting a lot of fuel, so to speak, trying to get there? Or are we willing to use the fuel that we need to get to where we want to go? And then the other thing that I saw was that, life shouldn't always be about using massive fuel. There should be moments where you're just cruising. And the other thing that I saw as a sign was there was this song that came on, and this song made me smile because it really spoke to how I felt yesterday. And there was a line in the song that talked about how I'm in airplane mode, and then it talked about how I'm not taking any calls right now. Do you have the audacity to say I'm not taking any calls today? I mean, most of us are uncomfortable with the saying that I'm not taking any calls. But you best believe there are some people out here that have no problem with saying I'm not receiving any calls today. Handle it. They'll tell their secretary that or their assistant that I'm not taking any calls today. And sometimes that's how we got to be about life. We got to put ourselves in airplane mode. And you know what that means. That means you can't receive anything in and you can't send anything out. You just got to sit there and enjoy the flight at that point. And so put yourself in airplane mode, and chill and vibe and, and just know that it's all good. The song was saying it's all good over here. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. Even a song that comes on out of the blue is a sign. Did you hear what I said? When songs just come on, I tend to listen because those songs have a way of prophesying and speaking. But if we're so busy ripping and running and trying to move quickly through our day, we miss all of that. And so that's my experience dealing with or addressing paying attention to the signs. Slow down, take care of yourself, and listen to God. God speaks in a multitude of ways if we are only plugged in to hear and to see and to receive. All right, this has been another Teachable Life Moments. I hope that this episode has given you something to think about and caused you to calm down and just pay attention to the signs, because God is speaking. He's speaking to those who are able and consciously aware to hear what he has to say. All right, good night and happy new day, because it is a new day. It's after midnight. Take care.